I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars ain't...
What's good? It's your boy Jay, that's me. We're going to get into TNA Impact from March the 5th, 2026. This was a pretty decent episode of TNA Impact. I really enjoyed the main event between Nick Nemeth and Leon Slater. And Steve Maclin is reinstated, which is fine. We all knew that was going to happen anyway, because this Feast or Fired was a work from the start anyway. That's fine. It was all to get to turn Maclin heel, which is perfect, because him and Mike Santana, they're going to face each other at Sacrifice, which is in 3 weeks' time, and that's fine there. And there's a lot of story going into that as well, so I do like that. Also, we're going to talk about the ratings as well. TNA has really hit it out of the park ever since going to AMC. Outside of that foul and wicked debut episode on AMC, TNA has managed to do very well from their second episode to now. So let's go ahead and get into the ratings. So the ratings for last week's show on February 26th, TNA averaged 233K for the straight consecutive week, which is fine. So they've been very consistent, getting 200K for the most part. So they're basically, in my book, doing collision numbers, which is fine. And I know that that pisses off the AEW sickos, which is great, because they're clowns. And again, I do expect for TNA to constantly keep getting collision numbers, because AMC is very impressed with TNA. And I think TNA, they're trying hard. They're trying to rebuild the roster, so they're going to bring in some more people at some point, which is fine. And I do think that they're going to bring in some NXT guys and girls at some point. It'll probably happen around the springtime, which is fine. And I like what they're doing. I feel that TNA is really taking themselves serious, and they're doing well. They're doing very, very well, and I am happy for TNA, because I want TNA to succeed. Again, my biggest issue with TNA is their roster. That roster needs some fucking work, but in due time, we'll get there. So, let's go ahead and get into the show. We kicked the show off with the first match of the night. Ariana Grace defeated Jody Threat to retain the TNA Knockouts Championship. And for whatever reason, Tessa Blanchard was on commentary. I'm surprised she didn't attack Jody Threat like she did last week, even though she admitted it on commentary, which is, fine. And then post-match, Carlos Silva, he was going to hand the belt to Ariana Grace, but Stack took it away from him, and he did the honors himself. So it is what it is. That's fine there. Makes sense. And for whatever reason, Xia Li and Xia Brookside, they were out there along with Tessa Blanchard's buddies. They were out there as well. So that's fine. I'm guessing they're going to do something at some point. I don't fucking know. I do like what they're doing with Ariana. I really do. She's going to keep the title for a while. I don't know how long she'll keep it. I would imagine probably maybe not Summerversary, because that's in July. That's 4 months from now. She'll probably keep it for at least about maybe May or June. But I don't know. So who knows? But I think she'll keep it for a good little while. And I'm thinking the one to dethrone her is going to probably either be Elena Black or probably Mara Sade, but I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. Moving on. This leads us into a backstage interview with Gia Miller. She interviewed the Nemeth brothers. So Nick talked about facing Leon Slater for the X Division title tonight. And then he put over Leon Slater, but said that Leon Slater isn't him. And then Ryan Nemeth said that Gia Miller made him sick, and then he put over his brother Nick. Whatever, who cares about this? Moving on. So the Personal Concierge and the Elegance brand, they're out next. So they George Iceman said that Ash wasn't there tonight due to mental health reasons caused by the fans and Mickey James calling her a mark last week. So Heather complained about people calling Ash a mark. She called the fans disrespectful and said that Ash was her hero. M declared it was the era of elegance, and then Heather pointed to out Mama June in the front row. I might have to watch that. Seems like a fun little show. And said that she couldn't afford a ticket. So Heather and M, they confronted June and said that she belonged at a food truck. ODB, who hadn't been there in ages, she walked up ringside and said she was trying to sell some meat at her food truck. So the OBD said that the Elegance brand was disrespecting her people. So the Elegance brand called everybody there disgusting. And then ODB called them knockoffs. Then ODB attacked the Elegance brand, and she kicked Mr. Elegance in the ball sack. And then the cast of Mama June poured barbecue sauce on Heather and M, and then that was it. So a little fun little comedy segment there. That's fine. It is what it is. Who gives a shit? The Elegance brand, they're great. But why is Mr. Elegance, why is he there? He hasn't even wrestled yet at all, period. Like, what the hell is he doing there? I don't get it, but whatever. Moving on, this leads us into the Hardys. They were backstage. They approached Leon Slater, and Leon Slater thanked them for their mentorship. Matt said that Leon earned everything he had. Jeff said that they would watch his back. Okay, that's fine. Cool stuff there. Moving on from that, this leads us into the Fatal 4-Way for the TNA Tag Team Championships. The winners will face the Hardys, I would assume, at Sacrifice in 3 weeks. And that match was won by Ding Ding Ding, The System. So Brian Myers and Bear Bronson, they defeated Rich Swann and BDE. Sinner and Satan, which is Judas Icarus, and I can't remember the other guy's name. And then the Righteous, Vincent, and Dutch. Whatever, it's fine. Who gives a damn? We all knew that the System were going to win anyway. So, whatever. I'm glad it was not the Righteous. Thank God for that. Moving on. This leads us into Rosemary. She had a creepy, cryptic vignette, and it just had a list, and she was just talking some gobbledygook. Whatever. Who really gives a damn? I'm a fan of Rosemary, but she's just been there just to be there now, honestly. She's been there for over a decade. Actually, I would say more. I think Rosemary's been with TNA, I want to say, since maybe possibly 2014, so maybe 12 years. I don't know. I have to check out her Wikipedia. But I think she's been with TNA for well over a decade for sure. I can't remember how long she's been with TNA. I gotta look into that. Moving on, this leads us into Moose and Alisha Edwards. They were out next. So Moose put over his former Atlanta Falcons teammates who were in the front row. Moose said everything starting next week he would go through each member of the system, starting with Cedric Alexander in Atlanta's street fight. And then he said he would save Eddie Edwards for last. So Alisha got on the mic. She talked about standing behind the system for the last 2 years, but she doesn't recognize them anymore. She said she would stand side by side with Moose, and Moose said he would beat Eddie Edwards up in front of his wife. And he said, like an old friend once said, that's just a fact of life. And then that was the end of the promo. That's fine there. Clearly, we know this is just setting up for Alisha to turn on Moose, which is fine. The shit is obvious as day. It's clear as day, basically. So, whatever. Moving on. This leads us into BDE. He was backstage. He was kind of frustrated. So Uncle Rich Swann showed up. Uncle Rich, he showed up, and he gave him some advice, along with Trey Miguel, who offered some encouragement. The Great Hands, they showed up. They walked in and said, BDE blew it. Rich Swann said it's not worth it, and he and BDE, they left. So Jada Stone showed up, and she almost got into it with Tasha Steelz, but it didn't go down like that. And so Trey Miguel and the Great Hands, they exchanged some words, basically. And the Great Hands, they revealed that Mustafa Ali is going to be there next week, which is fine. I'm hoping that Mustafa Ali turns on the Order 4. It's time to end that faction, really and truthfully. It's over and done with. They've been a pretty decent faction for about a good 8 months, I want to say. I think they formed in, what was that? That had to be about maybe October of last year. I'm not sure. But they've been around for a while as a faction. I think it's time to end that faction. I think it's time to move Mustafa Ali higher up on the card. I'm not saying make him world champion or anything at this point in time. Maybe have him go after Trey Miguel and have Trey Miguel and Mustafa Ali feud over the TNA International Championship. I think that would be the best use of both guys, if we're being honest. But we don't need Order 4 anymore. That shit has ran its course. Moving on. Elena Black defeated Mara Sade. That was quite obvious. She ended up winning via the brass knucks. Match was pretty decent. It didn't last long. It was short. And it seems like they're not done yet. So this is just the beginning of their feud, which I do like. In essence, I do think that Mara Sade should kind of go over Elena Black, a.k.a. Cora Jade. Why? Because Cora Jade's only signed with TNA for a year. I get that they probably want to put the Knockouts title on Elena Black, but I would wait for that, So, yeah. Moving on. This leads us into AJ Francis. He was supposed to have a match with Mance Warner, who's no longer with TNA. But he said that he ran somebody out of the league, referring to Mance Warner. So AJ Francis called the Atlanta Falcons sports teams losers. And then Diener, a.k.a. the hometown man, his sorry ass showed up, and him and AJ Francis got into it. They brawled. I don't give a fuck about any of this. It sucks that Mance Warner and Step DeLander, that they're gone. But it is what it is at this point in time. I don't know why TNA Medical did not clear Step DeLander to wrestle. Like, clearly she was cleared to wrestle and everything else. I don't know why they ended up doing her dirty. I could see Mance Warner and Step DeLander going to NXT. They need people there for sure. Mance Warner and WWE would be tremendous. That'd be great. Him going to AEW would just be dumb as fuck. The same thing with Step DeLander, So we should probably see them. We could see them on Saturday at Vengeance Day. So we could see them there. So yeah. Moving on from that, this leads us into the King speech with Frankie Kazarian. So, once again, there were some audio problems with this. Frankie Kazarian said that he'd rather walk over broken glass than walk with Elijah. Frankie talked about his accomplishments and said that Elijah hasn't won any titles. Elijah said that he's closed the chapter on the Mustafa Ali feud and he's moving on. Frankie got into Elijah's face. All of a sudden, AJ Francis showed up along with Diener. They began to brawl. And then AJ Francis gave the hometown man a down payment onto the crowd, which were basically plants. And there's that. So who cares about this? I don't give a shit about Frankie Kazarian again. It's time to make that clown a producer. Same thing with Eric Young, but it is what it is. Moving on. Eric Young, he grabbed the cameraman and snarled. And he says he hopes that Leon Slater wins. All right, whatever. Moving on. This leads us into Carlos Silva and Tommy Dreamer. They were in the backstage area waiting for Rosemary. So Rosemary teleported in. She replaced Tommy Dreamer. So Carlos Silva and Rosemary signed their contract. They shook hands. Silva left. And then a person in a rabbit or bear suit appeared behind her and said that 1 down, 6 more to go. And then it says to be continued. Okay, this is interesting. I kind of like this. I like where this is going. I really do. I'm intrigued by this now. Where the hell is this shit going? It's interesting now. This is kind of interesting. Moving on, this leads us into the main event of the evening. Leon Slater defeats Nick Nemeth to retain the TNA X Division Championship. He wins via the Swanton 450, and he wins clean, which is fine. So I do like that. Post-match, Eric Young attacked Leon Slater, laid him out via a pile driver, and then that was it. Moving on from that, the closing segment of the evening, Mike Santana showed up. He cut a promo. He talked about Steve Maclin attacking Tom Hannafin last week. Mike Santana called out Santana Marella so he could reinstate Steve Maclin and let him fight. So Daria Ray came out instead. She said that she runs the show, and she agreed that Steve Maclin should be reinstated, and then she reinstates him. Santana Marella shows up, and he came out. He said that Mike Santana and Steve Maclin would fight each other at Sacrifice for the TNA World title. And then Mike Santana vowed to fight Steve Maclin next week. And then that was it. So that's fine. It makes sense. Good stuff there. Excellent way to basically end the show. Maclin back in TNA is fine. We all knew this was a work from the start. So, yeah, it is what it is. I'm digging this. I really am digging this. I wonder what else they have planned for Sacrifice. Don't really know. They got time to build the card. They've got 3 weeks. So we'll have to wait and see how, things plan out on that end. Hopefully TNA will bring in some more talent. I think they will. I think we'll see some new faces at Sacrifice and maybe a little bit before. So hopefully we do see some new faces soon. I think we will. I really do. The ratings are fine. They're doing collision ratings, which is good. And I'm digging what they're doing with Mike Santana and Steve Maclin. I like what they're doing with Elijah. I don't like Frankie Kazarian. I like what they're doing with Leon Slater. I think that he's going to end up losing to Eric Young. Probably at Sacrifice, maybe, more than likely. I don't know, but it is what it is. But TNA right now is in a very good place right now. But what did you guys think of TNA Impact? Let me know. Like,